you know, a lot of people just go to Amazon because it's such a great channel.
Right.
But, you know, you can definitely sell on other channels, and like hanging out in your group, I learned so much just from people posting things. Like somebody mentioned Mercury, and I was like, what the heck is Mercury? I didn't even know what that was. So, so, you know, we can get started. I would, you know, if you're just selling on Amazon, and you're maybe Amazon and eBay, those are two big ones, right?
Yep.
But did you know that you can multi-channel fulfill through Amazon and also through Merchant Fulfilled and sell on your website, eBay, and a ton of other channels we're going to talk about today? And you can fulfill automatically through FBA. So Amazon's doing all the shipping for you, super cheap. And here you are selling your products everywhere and making extra money, right? Especially if there's like, if your product is really saturated on Amazon. Let's say you launch something that's slow selling on Amazon because so many people launched it. Well, what if it's not really on eBay? What if it's not really on some of these other channels? So you could really be selling a lot and totally fulfilling all of it through Amazon and saving yourself a lot of time and money and making yourself some money. So today I am interviewing Jess Hill. Jess is a very successful Amazon RA and wholesale seller. And Jess, can you tell us a little bit about your Amazon journey?
Yeah, so actually my e-commerce journey, because I have been on eBay since 2003. My mom and I used to go to auctions and sell antiques. And then I worked in corporate and, you know, did my thing in biotech. And then in 2015, I had some life changes, and I was introduced to Amazon and Amazon FBA. And I was like, well, this is so much better because I don't have to ship every single item, right? So I started, you know, sending stuff into the FBA warehouses, just getting my feet wet. So that was October of 2015, just part-time. I was still working in corporate. And then in March of 2016, I was like, I'm done having a boss. I want to be my own boss. So that's when I took the huge leap into full-time e-commerce selling. So I was building up my Amazon. I do a lot of RA. I figured out some really good wholesale accounts, and I actually have a couple PLs, but they're not at any scale that Amy's are. And then, so then as I'm learning Amazon, and I'm still having a few items on eBay, just as if it's a return or whatever. So I never stopped selling on eBay. It just wasn't my main focus anymore. And then you go through your business, and you buy too many of one item, or you find that something in a niche sells better on a different platform. So we'll talk about, for Amazon, you can pretty much sell anything with some restrictions, right? Brand restrictions, or if your account is restricted, right? Or, but then you can sell a lot of that stuff that you might be restricted in on eBay or Mercari or Poshmark. And so I have been dabbling. Go ahead.
I didn't even think about it from a restriction standpoint, Jess. I mean, so many people are like, crap, I can't sell in this category. I'm not, I can't get my CPC, or I can't get these certificates. And here you are like, then I just won't sell it on Amazon. I'm going to sell it all these other places.
Right.
I love that. That's such a great, so, I mean, so you kind of started, my next question was what got you started selling on all these other channels, but you started on other channels. But what got you, was it those restrictions? Was it those things that got you kind of like, how did you find out about these other channels?
So I actually went a little bit too deep in a couple of beauty products. And so then I was like, well, how can I get rid of this fast so that I can recoup that money? And that's when Mercari and Poshmark, because it was makeup, not skincare. I did have skincare, but on Poshmark, you can sell makeup. And on Mercari, you can pretty much sell most anything, right? You can't sell coupons and stuff like that, obviously. But yeah, so I was like, oh, well, I need to, and I also talked to my CPA, and she was like, you need to figure out other ways whether it's selling it, I could sell it locally or I could sell it on other platforms. And that's where Mercari came in, because beauty sells really well on Mercari, and I was still making money. So even if I went too deep, I didn't want to lose money, even if it was not the return on investment I wanted to begin with. But at least you're still making money, right? Because some people will go too deep in something or have a private label or something not do very well, right? But then they'll take a loss. So I was even trying to prevent taking a loss. So so that's where Poshmark and Mercari came in really big for me. And eBay, I still sell all the time on eBay. I probably have like 3 shipments a day on eBay, and so that's where those platforms came in, because I found, I can sell this real quick.
So, the reason, I mean, a lot of people would ask, why would you want to sell on other platforms when Amazon clearly is going to be your biggest platform? Like it's the biggest audience, that you have out there. I remember I started on my website and I started driving traffic to my website, and I was like, I'm not making near the sales or I'm selling organically on Amazon. Right. So it was just crazy. Like I just totally stopped focusing on my website. And then once I figured out how to automatically fulfill on my website through Amazon, I was like, I'm just going to send everything to Amazon, and then I'm going to list on eBay, Mercari, everything else. And when I get an order, I just create a fulfillment. Done. Right. So, I mean, do you ship? So let's kind of talk about that. So, and everyone watching, we have 6 viewers right now. If you have questions throughout, I can see your questions. So feel free to put them out there, and we'll throw them in there. So Amazon, let's talk about actual, things that we can do with Amazon, with multi-channel fulfillment and merchant fulfilling. So let's talk with merchant fulfilling. This is where you ship an item to the customer yourself, right? So you can buy really cheap shipping through Amazon. So why would you want to merchant fulfill? I can give my answer for this, and then I want to hear Jess's answer. So my answer is that it's cheaper. Ultimately on some products to merchant fulfill it yourself. So basically you can list, I have the same product. So I just recovered a bunch of inventory during Q4 that I didn't want to pay for storage on. I recovered it. It's here in my warehouse. And then when it sells, I just list it merchant fulfilled. So it's still in Amazon's catalog and people can buy it. Somebody ordered 2 bookends last night, and I was like, oh, okay, time to ship those out today. But when it sells, you'll just get an email that says, hey, it's sold. It's time to ship it. You'll go right into Seller Central. You'll buy shipping, really discounted shipping right on Amazon. You'll print the label. You'll put it on your box. You'll do a signature confirmation this time of year to make sure that, so, you can buy that right on Amazon too. And you ship it to your customer. You can just drop it off at the local UPS store or USPS, or you can have them pick it up and you're done. So, I mean, if you have inventory that you don't want to pay for in Amazon's warehouse and you want to, and the other thing you can do, you can send some in FBA. So on one of my products, I have some FBA and I have some listed merchant fulfilled at a little bit of a discount. So this brings me extra sales because I'm on the same listing twice. And to do that, all you have to do is just go in and relist the product. So go to add a product, relist it, and then in the options say, I want to ship this product to the customer myself. So then you'll have, and you might want to set a different SKU for that item that shows merchant fulfilled, and then that way you can, but that is what I do because it brings in extra sales. It saves me on inventory storage, and it allows me to ship to the customer myself at Amazon's discounted shipping rate, and I'm not paying those high FBA fees. So Jess, what do you merchant fulfill and why?
So absolutely 100% the same. So I merchant fulfill things that are hazmat, like mascara. That's like all year. Or things that haven't gone through the hazmat approval for beauty, like while I'm waiting, so you list a new a beauty product or a new product, and it says it needs a couple days. Maybe you need to send a list of ingredients. Maybe you need to send a certificate of analysis. But in those few days, I'm not going to wait, right? I want to start selling it. I know it's not going to explode, right? So I start merchant fulfilling. I list it as soon as I have it in my hands. And then also, so this time of year, I am merchant fulfilling some larger ticket items because I don't want to have to pay those fees, those FBA fees. And I also don't want to wait. So I could totally send an FBA, and I might, right? But say I get 10 of a large outdoor inflatable or something like that. Well, I don't want to wait because the rank is awesome. So I'm going to list, did I say 10? I'm going to list them real quick tonight because that's when I bought them. I might sell 3 in the middle of the night. I'll ship those and then I'll send the rest FBA the next day. So that's what I've been doing the last couple weeks because you can rank in a lot of money in Q4.
Yeah, and in Q4, it takes longer for them to check stuff in.
Right.
And I've seen people get held up. Like I have one client who's out of stock right now, and he's sitting there waiting for Amazon to check his stuff in.
Right.
But if he kept some of them, he could be merchant fulfilling them right now. Yeah.
And that's definitely for this part of the year. But if I get a bunch of inventory on a Friday that's not Q4, I'm still going to list it because it's still not going to get to FBA until next Thursday or Friday, but I could get those sales over the weekend. And then on Monday, I'll update my total, take them off of Merchant Fulfill, and then send them FBA. But that gives me a few more sales, right?
And Jess, let's talk about the people. I have a lot of people in my group who live out of the country, and they're like, Amy, I can't recall this stuff and bring it back to my house in Ireland, right? Yeah. Because then, where am I going? So, but what you can do, there's prep centers, right? So you could always put it back to the prep center. You give the prep center access to your, so let's say you've got a lot of excess inventory and you don't want to pay those high Q4 storage fees. You find you a prep center and you recover all of your inventory. It's 50 cents a unit or most of your inventory, except maybe a 30-day FBA supply. And some of these prep centers offer free storage.
Right.
And they'll connect to your Amazon account. And as soon as an order comes in, they'll fulfill it for you. It's like $1 per unit. I mean,
it's really a better option, especially if you have larger items that you don't want to get. I mean, those storage fees can really add up.
Exactly. Yeah. So now let's talk about the drop shipping option. So if you want to drop ship through Shopify and eBay, so Kevin just came out on our live and he said, I've tried Shopify and eBay with no conversions. So let's talk about, Jess, how do you increase your conversions on these other channels?
Right. So I have drop shipped from Amazon to eBay. And I do that all the time, right? So I have all my beauty items listed on eBay. I actually use DSM Tool. A lot of people use Joe Lister. I prefer to have the control of picking it and pulling it and putting it in. As far as like, I don't know. For some reason, last year I used Joe Lister and maybe I had a couple settings wrong. So it kind of gave me a bad taste in my mouth. So I really like DSM Tool. So I have been drop shipping, but as far as conversions on eBay, my stuff is pretty popular. So I'm having a hard time knowing some really good advice with the exception of the more that I cross post, the more I sell. So I feel like if you're working eBay, a few times a week or however, the more often you work eBay, the more it works. It's just like Amazon. The more inventory you put in, the more times you click, the more it's like every platform. I feel like you get seen more if you're working it.
And I know, like in Jean's group, e-commerce go-getters, we definitely talk about eBay, working the eBay, right? Like the more time and effort you put into a channel. And so the more that you're listing, the more better feedback you have on eBay, the more attention and time you give to eBay, the more you're going to convert, right?
Right.
Because your listings aren't going to just fall to the bottom and look like, oh, okay, this person's never selling, right? But it's kind of like any search engine algorithm looks for updates. So the more that your store is listing, they're going to go, oh, new product from this store, right? So it's going to definitely like lift that up. So, okay, good. Everyone else is having a clear picture. So that's good. And then Steven said, I sold out of one of my FBA products on Black Friday. So I listed FBM until my new inventory is checked in.
Yep.
Exactly what we're talking about.
Yep.
So on the line of drop shipping. So let's think about it this way, guys. What do you have to lose, right? You've got your inventory in, let's say you start merchant fulfilling at a little bit of a discount to your customer on the same FBA listing. And so you're making sales there. Then let's say that you list it on eBay, you list it on Mercari, you list it on, you know, Poshmark, whatever, depending on your product. And we'll talk about that in just a second. But you're listing on all these other, Groupon is another great place. You can run a Groupon deal, Wish, like all these other, you know, platforms, and we'll get into those. But what do you have to lose? If you can automate the process a little bit, kind of like Jess said, she used DSM tool to automate the process. And then she also has a little Mercari tool that she bought from somebody that kind of does a software listing kind of thing for her. But, you know, if you are listed on all these other channels and it's easy to fulfill it through Amazon, you have nothing to lose by listing it. You have nothing to lose and everything to gain.
Okay, so let's pause there because you're actually not supposed to drop ship to Mercari or Poshmark. So let's follow all the rules, right? Obviously, if it's in your house, you're merchant fulfilling it. Obviously, every now and then I might run out of something at my house and I might send one or two off to Mercari or Poshmark. But for keeping with the rules and not getting your accounts suspended, you're not supposed to drop ship to Mercari or Poshmark.
So do you buy, okay, good. Do you buy shipping on Mercari or Poshmark?
Yeah, so Poshmark, they put the shipping on for you, and then they send you the label. Like, there's no other way to do that, unfortunately. Okay. Because for Mercari, you can I just use ShipStation, and it's super cheap, right? Because I can, like, my items are less than 13 ounces, so I can still ship first class for Mercari, but their lowest label's like $4. So I still save $1 by shipping my own. Or you can use their shipping.
So I use Pirate Ship for cheap shipping. Is that another good one besides ShipStation? Yes. Okay, good,
and good. Also, if you're not like big time, you can also just use PayPal. I think it's like PayPal/ShipMe. If it's like one or two things. You know, I use ShipStation because I have like 20 merchant fulfilled a day. So you might not need the bigger ones. So you can just use PayPal. Right.
Okay, got it. So, all right. So let's talk about, so tell us about the channels that you sell on, all the channels that you sell on. Let's talk about those for a second. You talked about Mercari, Poshmark. I can't talk today. Mercari, Poshmark, eBay. Let's like kind of list the channels and tell a little bit about each channel. And then, you know, how you fulfill through that channel. And just kind of give the folks an idea. And could these people that are out there living in other countries and shipping to FBA, would a prep center also fulfill through these other channels?
So that is a good point, right? Okay, so Amazon FBA merchant fulfilled 3 years experience, right? Full-time 2.5 years. That's the heavy one. eBay, been on since like 15 years, 2003. And that, I do drop shipping from Amazon, and then I also do a little bit of merchant fulfilling on eBay. Most of that is drop shipping from Amazon, you know, for the added benefits of not having to warehouse that. Okay. And the added benefit of, selling my items quicker. And then Mercari, I've been on it for about a year. I think I started it, right about this time last year. Mostly merchant fulfill.
Oh no, we lost Jess.
Oh no,
there you are. Okay.
Okay, I'll go back. So Mercari, I've been on for about a year. And then I do merchant fulfilled on Mercari, and the experience is really good. But like I said, it's a harder channel because you can't put, if you have 10 of something, you can only list it once, and then you have to relist it. So there's like, even though it's the cheapest, it's only 10% is their fee. Why? That's why it's so good, right? It's cheap. But they don't have all the amenities that eBay and Amazon have. But it is definitely more of a cell phone app. Like, everybody's on their phone. They want to use Mercari for that. And I feel like it's a little bit of a younger crowd that's been using Mercari. And so I've sold about 700 or 800 things on Mercari, and pretty good experience. And then Poshmark, I dabbled in that this spring. I got a good grasp on it. I think I made like $800. I don't have a whole lot on there because the fee is 20%. And because the shipping is more expensive, you know. I'm not getting as much a return on investment for my products. Now, that doesn't mean you can't. If you're really good at selling clothes.
Okay, so what channels would you say? You talked about eBay being a primary and Fulfilled by Merchant on Amazon obviously being another big primary one. And then some of the other channels are good for different things. But what would you suggest? What are the channels that thus far that maybe you said they haven't worked? Like you said, Bonanza is one that, you know, maybe, you know, not so much.
Right.
Is there a channel where you're just like, you know what, I tried it, it wasn't for me?
Right. So Wish and Bonanza definitely were on the low part of the totem pole. But, you know, I don't know what the future, like if I could have more time every day, time is the issue, right? To work each of those platforms. But obviously my top three are Amazon, eBay, and Mercari. And that's definitely niche related because beauty moves on Mercari. If I was in more clothing, I might move to Poshmark more. So that would be my top four. Okay. But yeah, obviously, if I worked those Wish and those Bonanza better, you know.
And you could always train a VA to do that, right?
And that's what, you know, every business is growing. So try to, and Etsy. I'm sorry. I've sold a few things on Etsy as well.
What kind of things do you sell on Etsy?
Well, I've sold some, my kids have sold some handmade slimes, and then I definitely have some t-shirts that are printful, print-on-demand shirts. So Printful ships it for me.
Got it.
Yeah.
I've sold a couple things on Etsy that were Printful, print-on-demand as well. So that's good to know. Okay. Well, I mean, does anyone have any questions? I think, you know, Jess, I just have to say congratulations. Jess has hit 60,000 this month on Amazon alone. She is a crazy, she's a crazy RA seller. And, you know, I'm just so impressed with congratulations, Jess.
I can see that. Yeah.
And Jess has a group on Facebook called Ladies of FBA. And so it's obviously for the ladies. Jess, you know, she has love for the guys too, but her group is for ladies. And it's just, so you ladies out there who want to learn a little bit more about some other channels and maybe want to dabble a little bit in RA. I do a little bit of RA still. We sell some Nike shoes and some other things RA, you know, and so why not? You know, I mean, I have an RA replenishable item that I'm able to pay my Amazon fees with every month that I get at Walmart.
Right.
It's easy. I go pick up a bunch of them, I throw them in a box, I ship them off, and easy, right? So, so if you want to get started on Amazon, if you haven't done it yet, RA and even thrifting, selling used goods is a great way to get started, and then selling on some of these other channels. So if you're at that point in your journey, and maybe one day you want to get to private label, but private label is not for the faint of heart if you don't know the basics of Amazon. The best private label sellers did RA first because they understand, or wholesale first, because they understand exactly what shipments are, how to write listings, how to get a slow product selling, how to read rank charts, all of that. So, so Jess, I just want to thank you for taking the time to tell us about these other channels and encourage people to get